We are in the heart of Los Angeles, West Hollywood. This is where all the serial killers have roamed.
Every other day, they were finding a body.
LA became the serial killer capital of the world.
Back in the 90s, when the trial had just happened, Charlie Sheen threw a birthday party for me. Do you think in your time in LA, Manhattan, you've walked by someone that's murdered people?
Yes. Yeah, the toolbox killers, the trash bag killers. We are going to dive deep into it with Tom Lang, who's at the epicenter of everything. It involves the biggest star probably ever. It involves Richard Pryor, John Belushi, Liberace. Would you live in the home where a famous serial killer or a famous crime went down?
I'm in the foyer where Lana Clarkson was killed years before. When I met Phil Spector, how could I ever, in my mind, think this guy's going to kill someone?
We had the Tanya Brown episode that dropped and is still doing gangbusters. She didn't know about OJ abusing her sister until she was at the trial.
I learned about Nicole's abuse when I was sitting in court.
Everybody has a story. Everybody has emotions of heartbreak.
There's something you don't know about even in my background that is massive and huge and dramatic and violent and horrible. Rodney Alcala, known as the dating game killer. I fall, my phone crashes to the floor and breaks. My phone's broken. All right, welcome everybody. We are in the heart of Los Angeles, West Hollywood, just underneath the Hollywood sign. Literally, we're just a block off Sunset. This is where all the serial killers have roamed. All the crazy true crime mysteries of the past 40 years. The epicenter is right here. And today it's in this studio. Welcome everybody. I'm Tom Zenner, host of One Degree of Scandalous right here on the Tom Zenner Scandal YouTube channel with the one and only Kato Kaelin, co-host of One Degree of Scandalous, and full-time K-Train, just off a road of a great trip to Phoenix, which we're going to talk to him about.
That's the best time.
We have so much to get into today with some of our past guests that we've had on the show, what we're looking forward to in the coming days, but birthday boy, Kato Kaelin.
Wow.
Birthday boy
Stop
tomorrow.
It,
I'm not going to
Hop
give
on
the day,
train.
but hey, how about a happy birthday to Kato in the comments? Blow it up. The K-Train's birthday. He's 36 years old or so, I think.
37, but thank you.
All right. Any crazy memories from birthdays of the past when you were in the middle of everything, pop culture, crime?
I think back in the 90s when the trial had just happened, Charlie Sheen threw a birthday party for me, attended by Bill Maher. Huge cake. Someone popped out of the cake, and then we had karaoke. I invited all my friends to his pad in Malibu at the time, and it was open bar, and it was just so much fun. And then I remember one of my friends named Will Stump. You met Tom. He is always likes to sing, and we had karaoke. I call it karaoke at the party, and he'd got to singing a little inebriated, imbibing too much. And at one point, Charlie said, "Get your buddy off stage. I'm doing him a favor. Yet no more singing." So he was doing Thunder Road by Springsteen and said, "No, get him out of here." So I was like, I got to tell my buddies, no more singing, guys. Cut it off. You sound horrible. That was every birthday's memorable for me. Last year's was at Chuck E. Cheese. I'm kidding. I went in the ball bin with my shoes on, so they got pissed. But getting back out of the birthdays, I have to ask you a question.
Wait, before we get out of the birthdays, because do you guys agree with me? Kato Kaelin is the master of just touching on some of these amazing experiences in life without revealing too many details. Pretty soon, all these people that you partied with are going to be dead. Don't worry about it, okay? Or maybe some of them don't even know how to watch or listen to a podcast. So a few more details on the Charlie Sheen party, Malibu, Bill Maher. Someone jumped out of a cake. How about who jumped out of the cake? How about what that person was wearing that jumped out of the cake?
Let's just say that Charlie, he was so kind to throw one of the best parties, and it was female bartenders, and you can imagine.
I guess we have to imagine now. You're not going to tell us. I guess we have. I'm going to imagine.
It was a surprise to me.
Okay.
By the way, it's a complete surprise. Just going to his place, and then it was just packed. I mean, food, drink, all. It was probably the best birthday party I've been to, and one of the memorable birthdays of my life.
Yeah.
And that was it. I always think the best thing about birthdays, my birthday is always when it's daylight savings, and of course March 9th is daylight savings. And I'd like to tell you, Tom, and the folks there listening to our show, I bring the light, and it only makes sense that the extra hour light is on March 9th. Always in March.
That is true.
And I love that I'm always about the light. I talk that. And now it makes complete sense.
That does. An extra day of sunshine with Kato Kaelin.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I
totally get it.
I bring it.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great birthday on the 9th. Okay.
It's going to be amazing. It's been a birthday week in Phoenix. We'll tell those stories later. But here's a question. You talked about here we are in LA with serial killers and murders everywhere. Do you think your path, you live in Manhattan, you're extremely, wealth is in Manhattan, but do you think in your time in LA, Manhattan, you've walked by someone that's murdered people?
Yes, I guarantee
think
you.
that all the time. I go, I wonder if I ever walked by, obviously, OJ aside, I think he's a guilty man, but you think you have seen people that are murderers?
I do, and I think probably more than one, multiple.
Give me an example.
Well, okay, for instance, like Manhattan Beach is right off Rosecrans.
Yeah.
Right? Rosecrans goes straight into Compton. Okay, so plus the South Bay, which is Manhattan Beach, is where a number of serial killers were operating, and into Orange County too, which is kind of far from Manhattan Beach. But Tom Lang said that they were operating down there as well. You had the toolbox killers, you had the trash bag killers, things like that. But yes, in Los Angeles, the randomness of people you run into, just how you run into celebrities everywhere here, and it's kind of no big deal. Yeah. Athletes, celebrities, actors, or whatnot. I guarantee you that we've crossed paths with killers. And think about this studio that our beautiful studio here with Zeus. By the way, I love the upgrade, Zeus. What have you been watching? HGTV. Well done, man. Zeus, you're an artist. Don't you love this? I like the darker background.
Either Zeus did it or Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Maybe Zeus had a couple serial killers in here and they had him hostage. He had a little time to kill, so he just redid it, but it looks great.
Time to kill.
But think about it. On this street, which is a block off Sunset, right? Think of the serial killers that roamed up and down that street. Or the killers in general.
Well,
or how many or this was
prostitution.
OJ's path too, once he got off the 405 to head back to Rockingham.
Right. Prostitution. There could be, a lot of the pickups. I think that, isn't it bizarre that you think that's like, we probably have come across people without even knowing that have probably been a murderer or something. And it blows me away.
Yeah, and LA is the epicenter of it, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is an area where people would drive by, where you live in the valley. There's people that, the killers have crossed these paths. And you learn this because these stories never get old. People can't get enough of this type of content and some of these highly publicized stories. That's why I'm so excited for the next 2 episodes with Tom Lang. We have him coming in studio this week. Kato, we are going to be all over the Wonderland killings. And, you've heard of the movie. You've seen the movie. Yeah. I've read Tom's book with Bob Sousa, and I've watched all the documentaries. Michael Connelly, the famous author, the former LA Times reporter, is huge into this. I feel I know almost everything about the Wonderland killings right now, and we are going to dive deep into it with Tom Lang, who's at the epicenter of everything, including that one.
Now, you told me that the murder itself is the most gruesome murder, like worse than the Charles Manson. And you said, if I can tease, Tom Lang videotaped, because he was a detective and they had to get the scene of the crime in 1981.
Yep, with
one of those large VCR, those cameras. So Tom is going to tell us that story.
Yep. So get this, and I didn't even know this
tape.
Well, we'll ask him. I guarantee you he's got a copy of it or something, or the photos from it. So I don't want to give everything away, but we are going to go deep into the Wonderland killings, the Hillside Strangling killings, and the Hillside Strangler. Did you know that he was involved in the dating game serial killer, that Anna Kendrick, that movie that's out on Netflix? Tom Lang was involved in that investigation as well.
Do you know, speaking of that, I think John Holmberg, who I just was in Phoenix with, had something. He brought up the Hillside. I don't know what something with the Bono, La Bianca, and Bono.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. Bono was.
I gotta call him because I want to find out, because it's just clicked my mind. Those are the 2 killers, and how they would drop the bodies off in different areas. Oh no, it was the trash. I gotta ask Tom.
Sure.
Where the killings were, how they would be deceptive of how they would kill somewhere, but take the bodies to like an Orange County, so it would the red herring.
And you know what? We talked about that with Lang in one of the previous episodes too, how, there's a terminology for that, how they plant the bodies. They have trophy, they have all these phrases that they use. The Hillside Strangler as well, because they would be killed somewhere else and then put, in the hills right up here in the Hollywood Hills. Yeah, we're going to get to your trip to Phoenix in just a second. I don't want to give too much away about the Wonderland murders, but Kato, think about it. It involves the biggest porn star probably ever. It involves Richard Pryor. It involves John Belushi. It involves Liberace. There's so many things that and get this, no one went to prison for 1 day for the murder. Not one, for the 4 murders that day.
You mentioned Liberace. Do you remember HBO had that the Liberace
behind the
candelabra?
Yeah, candelabra. Behind the with Matt Damon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was that I saw it, but I don't remember. Was that mentioned at all, John Holmes? That connection in that?
Yes.
It is mentioned.
Yes.
So you remember that being mentioned in that?
100%. No, the guy that was the character in Behind the Candelabra was Scott Thorson,
his
right?
boyfriend.
That was Liberace's boy toy. He was 18. He was around Liberace 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So yeah, that movie that did very well. It won a ton of awards, ton of Emmys, maybe a Golden Globe as well with Matt Damon. Yeah, that was about him, Scott Thorson, Behind the Candelabra. So all the pieces that weave into this story are just insane.
It's insane. You know, I was mentioning a friend of mine who I used to hang out more, and I haven't seen him recently, but we used to have great parties at his house too. His name's Jeff Franklin. Jeff Franklin, great guy. He took me to Laker games to his place up in Arrowhead. I don't know if you know this. Jeff, he bought the home on Il Cielo.
He did.
Where the Manson murder took place.
Helter Skelter.
And I believe it's up on sale right now for $70 million. And he threw a party there. I still have a mug. I don't know if it was through him, but it was a mug with the I don't even drink out of it. It's too spooky to me where it says El Cielo. Well, he has that. And I always thought, and by the way, the house is amazing what he did. It is for $70 million. It's just up in the hills. And Jeff has thrown some of the best parties too. And I could not live regardless and in that home. And I wonder if finally Jeff said, okay, I'm spooked out, or maybe not. And it's huge. And I don't think Jeff was living it by himself.
Yeah. That's a great question. Would you live in the home where a famous serial killer or a famous mass murder or a famous crime went down? Would you be freaked out to the point you wouldn't do it? Think about it. If you're selling that, your friend, right? For instance, you got to hope that a very, very wealthy person has no problem with that.
Yeah, all the way.
Because that would scare off some people. And that's why they raise them, tear them down, rebuild them. But there's so many of those properties around here. You know, that's one cool thing about driving around LA. Like, when people come to visit me, I always take them to one spot, and Sean and my wife thinks I'm crazy. You're not going to do this again. Yes, I am. I am going to do this again. I'm going to take my visitor, Kato, have I done this for you yet?
Yeah.
To the Jerry Maguire house in Manhattan Beach. You know, the yellow one where...
Well, it's great because why do you think these things survive? These TMZ tours, and all these graveside tours. People are fascinated. True crime, our podcast, the audience gets bigger and bigger. They're fascinated.
Right.
People are fascinated with it.
Remember when Jerry Maguire shows up to her house? You complete me. Remember having the divorce meeting inside there?
Yeah.
And he goes in there and So
where's that?
It's right in Manhattan Beach. that yellow house.
Okay.
That his girlfriend lived in. So that's the beautiful thing about LA. The other thing that's crazy about LA too is, you know, when you think about the disaster that we just went through 2 months ago, literally exactly
Palisades,
2 months ago with the Palisades,
the
Altadena, the big fire. I mean, we're talking about one of the most majestic cities in the country, the Pacific Palisades, burned down. You know, and my daughter, Kato, who I've talked about many times, my daughter, Brooke, who's an amazing teacher, teaches in the Palisades, teaches at a Christian school in the Palisades. Yeah. They've had to completely uproot their life. Over 150 kids in that school lost their homes. And now they had to move to, you know, Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle. He owns a big office building in Santa Monica. So one of his grandchildren goes to my daughter's school. So he provided the office park for them. So they're in this beautiful office park now. But think about it. These kids are disrupted for a month. They have to go into this, learn in a in a corporate environment. I told Brooke, I go, hey, if anyone gets out of line, just send them to HR. Yeah. Send a fifth grader down there. I think LA people are the most resilient people on the planet, though, because everybody kind of moves on to the next thing now, even though, like in other cities, these things linger and linger, and they could be 1/100th of the magnitude of what we just went through, but it's become this huge thing with a hashtag. But
I'll give you, you talk about going to places with Shonda, seeing the
Jerry Maguire house.
I'll give you one that's bizarre. I think I shared this with you before, but it's so bizarre to me still that I was in the home of Phil Spector. I was where he...
Well, he was your buddy, wasn't he?
I knew Phil Spector. I didn't know he was going to be... all these weird people that just are attracted to me. Did I mention that I bring the light? I think it's because of that time. I'm in that house. I'm in the foyer where Lana Clarkson was killed years before because he invited me to Celine Dion, a mixing of an album, and I became his friend. He wouldn't mix the album unless I sat next to him. Insane. But I'm in that house, so it's in Monrovia up in the hills. It looks like it's got this medieval look to it. Very dark. It sort of looks like the Munsters, that house, if you remember that show, the Munsters. Huge house. And he lived there. I think he was by himself. And he had candles lit for his son that passed away.
Let me
it's
ask you
just
this.
so bizarre.
Do you think, and think about this, Phil Spector's a weird dude.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson, some of these other people. Do you think people are drawn to you because they have a dark part of their personality and they're maybe have an evil component of their DNA, and you are so positive that they want to be around you, thinking maybe some of that can rub off?
That's something that I always think about that. Why there's an attraction. I think they see me before they meet me, that I'm around and always having fun. And I think people are attracted to fun. And then I have laughs, they laugh. And next thing you know, we're like invited out to a dinner or something.
Good Lord, I just thought of something else. Or is it you that drive people to kill?
No, please don't say that.
I'm
No.
kidding.
Oh,
Hey,
no, no.
between me
I
and,
bring the light.
between me and Zeus, who do you think would end up in prison for committing a very terrible homicide here? Between me and Zeus,
I think you guys are together at Hillside.
double teaming
the
it.
Hillside. No.
Hey,
Neither one of you guys. Too kind souls.
I think
kind, man.
I think Zeus has got the spots we could bury some bodies, and I'll take care of the media and the cops. I'll talk our way out of this, okay? So
we have to post.
but
a picture
whoever
of
we
Zeus.
do it to will deserve it, though. I'll tell you that, okay? Nothing random.
But that's bizarre, and I always thought that how could when I met Phil Spector, how could I ever in my mind think this guy's going to kill someone one day? But the more I kind of saw him, when I saw that he put a gun on a table one time at a restaurant, I would just say he's not stable.
Yeah.
This is not you don't do that. You don't put a gun out there. So
Loaded
and-
gun.
Yeah, a loaded gun.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned also Tom Cruise has the rights to the Phil Spector story. Get on with it. It's a movie that should be made, and it would be a blockbuster. I mean, I didn't watch it complete unknown, the Bob Dylan story. I didn't really care. But if that was an Academy Award nomination, Cruise could make this Phil Spector story. Everybody knows the Beatles are involved, the Wall of Sound. And it would be amazing to see the whole transition of Cruise wearing all these wigs. It's sort of like when he did Tropic Thunder. He becomes these characters. He could become Phil Spector.
That's a good point, and that's what I was thinking too. Maybe he's waiting a little bit longer. He ages a little bit more. He can have the crazy hair, and maybe he could pull it off. But
I think,
maybe
but he did Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah, he did.
And he had that look.
Yeah.
And he had the makeup. I think it's now. Now he could do this.
Thing
And
with-
he doesn't have to do any running.
Yeah.
No running.
Oh, but
There's
he
no-
still will. He still will run
Yeah,
in
we'll
that
see.
movie. He will run. There is not a Tom Cruise movie that he didn't run in. And the funniest thing about that is I noticed this probably 23 or 24 years ago. I'll see if I can dig this up. When I was working in Phoenix in TV, I did a story on that. And then I brought in like a famous speed coach, and we took all the clips of Tom
Dan
Cruise
O'Brien.
running. No, it was a different, like a legitimate speed coach who worked with Olympic athletes to, help them increase their 40-yard dash, 100-yard dash time. We broke down his form. Like technically, it was pretty funny. And then now he's even done that for another 25 years. Every single movie he's in, he runs. And it's not just he full-on sprints in every single movie, every single one.
And there's something on YouTube you can find of him running in these things. It's pretty funny.
But Kato, I did that story in 2002. In 2002,
you did it
I got to
before.
dig that up. I will dig that up and I'll post it. By the way, Phoenix, let's hear a little bit about it.
Well, the Phoenix, and by the way, Tom is connected. Tom knows everybody. He's not Kevin Bacon anymore. It's 6 Degrees of Tom Zenner. I went to Phoenix through a buddy of mine, Greg Ontiveros, who's probably one of the greatest guys, philanthropist, has his own charity that I host for the last 5 years up in the Quad Cities, and he's more than kind to me. Fun. He calls me the other day and says, "Hey, there's a guy. They watch Netflix. They're so intrigued with the OJ story. Would you go to Phoenix and just do their morning show?"
Morning show. Big
And
morning
I've
show.
done a
Big.
lot. Oh, it's number one.
John Holmberg,
Great.
the legend in Phoenix.
Oh yeah, and they love you. They kept talking about you wearing pink capri pants, I think, or something. But
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
did. But they weren't pink, but they were like beige. I blame Shonda. She was my wardrobe consultant, but I did. And
well,
they
love
remember
you.
it
I'll
20
tell
some
you
years
what,
later.
They had
Yeah.
great stories. So, and I didn't know. And by the way, I didn't know any of these connections. I just did it because Greg asked me, "Would you do this?" I said, "Greg, anything for you." So I did this. I call Brady. He's got a Milwaukee connection. I immediately love this guy. They know you. This is a done deal. Book a flight. We do this, and I don't know if it's going to be like everything's going to be OJ related. It ended up being over 2 hours. 2 hours
For one guest.
for
It's
a
like you were
guest.
co-host that day.
Yeah, it was like a Cato Day. And they call it a Cato Day, I think. Now, while this is going on, he's got the screen on. Tom, there's so many great positive comments coming in. And then I looked at my Instagram. I look at all my social media. you know when something makes an impact. When we do our show, we don't know how many people are listening in that until you start seeing comments, because they say if one person does this, that means you times it by 100. Okay, that being said, they take me to a Phoenix game, and there's a private club called the
Phoenix Suns.
Phoenix Suns game. I skipped a part. So I'm doing the show, and next thing you know, Brady Bogan, funny guy. The show is hysterical. I'm having so much fun. He said, "Oh, the LPGA is in town. Would you do their pro-am?" And they love the show. It's going on. I said, "Let's see." I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I did a workout at 5 o'clock. I don't need sleep. We went there. We played 18 holes. Met every press person that was in the Phoenix. And of course, Phoenix is just known for the golf. And I love golf, and it's a scramble. So how tough could it be? Instant friends with all the guys I golf with, meeting everybody at this thing. It's at a place called Whirlwind. It was beautiful. Anyways, we did that. Next thing you know, it's almost 5 or so. We're having dinner. We meet John and Brady. We all go. My buddy Greg and his fiancee Kara. They're terrific people. To this private club that you've been to, right?
Yeah, at the Suns Arena.
It's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's right on the floor, because I used to work for the Suns. I used to be the host on the court.
I'll post a picture of my video of this thing. Do you know what the bar reminded me of?
What?
The Shining, where Nicholson's having drink. It's got that great old thing. You got Sammy Davis on a piano. It's just a great vibe. So we'd go back and forth from the game to the club, and
everybody recognizing Kato. Did they put you on the big screen?
They didn't do a big screen, but I'm going to have a picture of me with the gorilla. The gorilla, I have him. He's laughing under the mask. You can tell. I said, "Smile and say banana." And he loved that. I said, "You can use that." When he goes, "I'm going to." So he's going to use it. It's, like I said, so much fun. So we do that, and the crowd is pointing out Kato. And I just said, it's the power of media, doing his show and the power of Netflix. And I met so many people. And
what a great time.
And John, what a great, his story. And he lived in Glendale at one point.
Yeah.
He's telling me all the stories, because we're going to get into the Hillside Strangler Case, which is the two guys that were worked in auto, I think, upholstery in Glendale. Everything just comes around. You're involved. I'm involved. Tom Lang. And like I said, great time. And they promoted us, One Degree of Scandalous. They both, you know, when someone's kind of blowing smoke up your butt, they say that they really listened to our show, and so many people were commenting about the One Degree of Scandalous. So I was on cloud 9. It was phenomenal.
Amazing trip. Hey, by the way, Holmberg and Brady, I'm coming at you. You think you can make fun of me in capri pants? I know a few things about you guys, okay? So keep watching this show. I might reveal it. But no, seriously, thanks for hosting, Kato.
Yeah.
Kato, when I was working in Phoenix, I was the sports anchor at NBC. And I did a sports talk show on the radio every day, which is in the same building that they do their show. So I would see them every single day. They're the best.
Oh, you're part of Hubbard. You mean that building I was at?
Well, back then it was different ownership, right? We had this crappy old studio.
Great studios, too.
Oh, they weren't back then, man. They were not great. But no, I'd see them every single day. They're the best, and they've been dominating for over 20 years. You know how hard that is to do? A, to get up that early every single day. B, to be entertaining every single day, and then to dominate the ratings like they did. So shout out to those guys.
Wait, and Good Morning Arizona, Scott
Passmore. Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows you, so you would have been part of it. If I didn't know you, you would have been in the group.
Sure.
Because it was all media people. The Pro-Am.
Yeah, so next time we'll go out there together. And that's so funny that you had the gorilla rolling, because he's not supposed to talk. So if he's talking underneath his mask, we'll put it up on the show.
It was great.
Yeah.
I always wanted to meet that gorilla.
Oh, he's
an athlete.
Oh, totally. So I used to work for the Suns, the Phoenix Suns. I was the in-game host and MC. So during the timeouts, I get the crowd going, do the lineups. It was almost like being a game show host and a master of ceremonies.
So cool.
The 2 years I did it, they didn't make it to the playoffs, so I had to do a lot, getting the crowd going late in the game. And then I was always with the gorilla. He's classic. Dash was 5. Dash went to every single game for 2 years. I remember, like, he would shoot on the court with the players, hang out.
Did you ever use the T-shirt gun?
No, but I was around it. You know, that was always boom, boom, boom. I would throw him into the crowd.
I would think that you would be on that
the gorilla
gun.
had the gun, but he'd give me a handful and I'd throw him up into the crowd. But the Suns do such a great job, and that's a great atmosphere. That was the game they came back from 22 down to beat the Clippers, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a record. That was 23 points down.
They did it for Kato.
And they almost did it the other day, yesterday against Denver.
No, what a great comeback. Okay, amazing stuff. So we had the Tanya Brown episode that dropped. and is still doing, gangbusters. She was so raw and real and open. We didn't have anything rehearsed. We saved all the conversation until we rolled the camera. First time you two saw each other in 30 years. But that thing got real, didn't it?
I'll tell you what's great about it. What happened with her, you forget. It's such a conversation. You forget you're even doing a podcast. You just are so into it. And she was so focused. It was like laser. She was open up about everything. She had cried. She laughed. It was, I think it was really cathartic for her to do our show. I really do. I think she, I haven't talked to her since the show. I don't know if you did it with messages, text. I think it was a great thing for her. She probably liked doing it, I think.
It was eye-opening for me, and you nailed it. She laughed, she cried, sometimes in the same answer, sometimes in the same part of the conversation. I think I give you a lot of the credit because I think someone like Tanya Brown can feel comfortable because you were involved and she knew you, and you guys went through some of the similar things together. So I think she felt very comfortable speaking. I'll tell you what, you see a lot of comments, and you cannot judge anybody by their reaction to something as unbelievable as this, right? Because if you think of the different family dynamics, she was the youngest sister. You could certainly tell. My takeaway was they shielded her. They wanted to protect her from so much of that information. And I think she's such a genuine soul, right? I mean, she's almost like still kind of this bright young thing, right? Like, she doesn't embrace the dark side like a lot of people do.
I was going to say, she's also all about the light.
So I don't think she's like me. I find the scandalous version of every story I hear. I'm always going that way. There's something up. I'm suspicious that she was protected by her family. I don't think she had the natural curiosity to dig deep on her own, maybe out of fear of what she would find out. But Kato, when she said that she didn't know about OJ abusing her sister until she was at the trial.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I said, seriously? I followed up with her. Really? Was that the first time? What were your takeaways?
I completely the same with you. I said I couldn't believe it. So was she shielded? I think she had to been shielded because Denise started the foundation. So Denise knew about it, I guess, from the 911 calls that, she immediately said, he did it. He went too far. And so I don't know if that's with the age difference, if it was, like you talk about how it's shielded. Is it something where she blocked out, or she didn't want to hear it, or I don't know. So I was amazed that she said that's the first time she heard it.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's still doing really well on the YouTube channel.
I'll tell you, Tom, so you are the same as me. We love Netflix. We love those documentaries, right?
For the most part. I have one beef to pick with Netflix, which what it is, but we can get around to that later.
By the way, that Osama bin Laden's out now, Manhunt.
It is?
Yeah.
I want to watch that.
I think I just saw the thing go by on my Netflix.
No, my beef is with the Varsity
Manhunt.
Blues Netflix movie where they disparaged John Wilson 26 times. The book I wrote with John Wilson from the Varsity Blues, the parents, right? Okay, so no, but I do love Netflix. I love the content. They screwed up big time on that one, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, and by the way, John did our show, and he's terrific. So I just watched the Gabby Petito.
Okay.
You know what's amazing about all the documentaries? You could it's sort of like a template of all the emotions of the parents or the sisters or brothers that lost someone. They all have that emotion that only they can relate to, but there's so many people that relate to because it's happened in their life. Like Tanya, she can relate to these people.
Yeah.
It's all heartbreaking, but everybody has a story. Everybody has emotions of heartbreak and how their little girl of Gabby, the mother, they're showing the baby films of her growing up. Of who would ever realize that she'd just be laid out, just be killed,
insane,
and just like thrown out like trash, which they mention in the documentary, and how emotional it is. So they do, and I was wondering if you see it, how Netflix had the phone, all the footage of her doing her blogs. If it was the personal stuff, I don't know does the producer get it? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Who released that footage?
It's a great point. So that's why these shows are so compelling, because everybody has a phone that records video, and some of these people were doing shows or vlogs or YouTube channels or whatnot. So all that stuff is available. So it's almost like you're watching it in real time. But when you think about having to such a personal thing and such a tragic thing to have to talk, because we look at these shows as entertainment. Now, you can obviously feel the emotion and have sympathy, but you can't really get in their shoes to understand what it's really like to lose somebody like that. You can. There's something you don't know about even in my background that is massive and huge and dramatic and violent and horrible. So if you've lived through it, you understand it. But wow, to think that they have to be able to talk about it all the time. And then for me, I don't know how there isn't more rage towards the killer, because that's where I would go. And that's why I was even shocked by Tanya's reaction to her dad, Lou Brown. Even when they knew, and he was going Juice, right? He was still calling OJ by Juice, like around the funeral time and things like that. I mean, I would want to get if you knew someone killed your daughter or whatever, it's unbelievable. The Gabby Petito story on Netflix, American Murder, all that footage, because she wanted to be a YouTube star. She was doing, so all that stuff was available. So I think the family made it available. But even the police interactions, when they pulled her over with the body cam footage in Utah, and they didn't put him in jail. They sent him to a hotel.
But
Oh, it is. It's public. And but the fact that it's recorded.
The hotel was because he was abused.
That's what he said, right?
Yeah.
That's what the cops said.
But like I said, I was just going to watch the one. I ended up watching the entire series because that's what they want you to do. They always leave you hanging to find this to find out. But it's it's amazing that the parents of Brian Laundrie, when the police went there, that he was home and they hired a lawyer. As a parent on the other side, you're going, a lawyer? What? You just immediately know something.
Oh yeah,
something.
Well, I mean, those parents
of
Brian are villains. I mean, they're the worst. I mean, just watching them, and that letter she wrote, "I will kill for you. I will bury a body for you."
Yeah.
I mean, what's up with these guys? Why not just get a divorce? I mean, come on, man. Right? If it's not working. Hey, there's this other one on Hulu. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, the Ruby Frank.
No.
In Utah, she was this woman that started a YouTube channel. We got to get this on the show. This one's sick. This is unbelievable. This Ruby Frank. So, in the Mormon culture in Utah, they always want to project. They feel it's part of their responsibility to project the great life that they live because of their faith and whatnot. So she started this YouTube channel, and it blew up. But then you realize, you start digging deep, and she's incredibly abusive towards her kids. And then to the point where she's now in prison for 30 years. It is an unbelievable, insane story. She latches on with this therapist woman who's just the devil, basically. She's doing 30 years with him, just completely detached her family, abused them, starved her little kids. Just unbelievable. But again, all that footage is available because she was trying to start a YouTube channel. Same thing with Gabby. So you have all that video
and that
these producers have to work with. Same thing with OJ. Everything was televised. It was the biggest story in the world, even though this is before social media. But that's why this one will always keep going and going and going.
Was she married, and was the man married to more than one woman?
No, good question.
Right?
No, it's a great question. No, he was a bald dude in Utah. Those are the ones that seem the scariest. I've seen several stories on this. Oh, he was just completely out to lunch.
Is he in prison?
No, he should be, in my opinion. This guy was, had to know what was going on, but I give him credit for being so open in this documentary, but this guy's just weird. He's just weird. He allowed himself to detach himself from his family for a full year because that's what he thought his wife wanted. And it's just, the whole thing's strange, but it's hard to stop watching it. It's just, and they have two older kids that did a great job just walking everybody through what happened, and just, it's chilling.
And on the drive over here, you mentioned that Manson, they got one on Manson and that on his life. And then what did you think of the Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? How he kind of turned it different with
God, that was so amazing.
You liked it?
Oh my God, I loved it because
that's El Cielo, the drive.
Exactly. That's the house right there, again, in the Hollywood Hills. I thought, well, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And then I just hate these creeps that torture and kill people, and that Tarantino could turn it around and just make it the most gruesome death for those guys with a flamethrower and everything. It was so good. No, that's the last movie, Kato, that I watched in a theater. 2019. That's the last time I've stepped foot into a movie theater. How about you? Do you go to the movies
Last time I probably saw a film was the last Mission Impossible.
When was that?
That was
Post-COVID?
at least. Yeah, post-COVID.
Okay.
So whenever that was. So
I mean, everything comes out so quickly on the streamers now that you don't have to. Yeah, so all this stuff, you're right though, everything just intertwines. And that's why I was saying at the beginning of the show too, like right here where you can almost feel it too. Like when you're in this area, you know all the story, you just drive by places here, you know, and you just have seen them in so many movies and documentaries. You go up to Sunset and, you know, all the crazy bars and strip clubs and billboards and just everything that's just synonymous with all these big stories here in LA that people are so, you know, enraptured by. Okay, so Tom Lang coming up for 2 episodes. We're going to do Wonderland. We're going to do Hillside. I'm also going to ask him about the dating game. And how about this? Do you think this would be fun to do with Tom Lang? Just because he's so sharp, even though he's in his 80s. God, he's such a legend. He is one of my favorite. He's like a superhero to me. You know,
Tom's great.
A great Marine. And then all these crimes he was in the middle of. The guy videotaping the crime scene at the Wonderland killings. First one on the scene at Nicole's Bundy condo, and then coming over to see you on the, you know, a few hours after the murders.
I mean, this is the question I want to ask Tom. If I forget, you bring it up, okay? Did Tom ever, while he's doing this and seeing crime, ever creep out if he hears a noise in his house? Like, because they have to be, if someone's after I always think of someone after like a DA, or someone's after how their life has to be so private. And how private can it be? I mean, he has to go out to the grocery store. Someone has to see him. So I wonder if Tom, if he's got the gun next to the bed, if he's got the, you know, you hear, honey, did you hear that noise? You know, I have a bat under my bed just in case I hear, just in case I hear these noises. I had people that slipped me notes during the trial and the death threats that I have. I just freaked out in my mind. Who'd want to kill me? But there's these crazy people. So I wonder if Tom is the private life, if he ever himself, even though he's a detective, if he is scared. It's certain things that freaked him out.
It's a great question. Yeah. Great thought. Do you still have the bat underneath your bed?
Yeah.
It's probably habit, right?
Yeah.
I've got my Byrna. I got to bring my Byrna in here.
I want to get a Byrna.
It's not less lethal.
It's a pellet, right?
Yeah, it shoots these little balls. And we took it in our backyard because everybody's making fun of me. Oh, Dad, you going to get your Byrna? Because one time, there was like, sometimes you in LA, you get crazy. Like $500.
Can we get him to sponsor our show?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Believe me, I'm trying to. You're fools for not sponsoring the show as much as we talk about you, Byrna. But anyway, so my family makes fun of me. I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a hunter guy. I grew up in Minnesota, in a town of 700 people, Belgrade, Minnesota, on a dirt road. 7 kids in our family, just like you, Kato. Yeah. All 7 kids in our family, college graduates. For a small town, that's pretty good. So I never grew up hunting, fishing, camping. I've never done any of that in my life. I've never cast a fishing pole. I've never hunted. But I got to protect myself in LA, but I'm not a gun guy. So I have the Byrna, right? But my family makes fun of me, right? Dash, Ivana, they're all, Dad, you got the Byrna? So one time, I love the Byrna. The helicopters were circling. There must have been somebody they were searching for. Like it happens in LA. I get my Byrna. And I'm sitting in the kitchen. I have my Byrna on the bar. They just like think it's, I go, yeah, right. Until someone comes in there and I got them, right? So I'm, you know, I got my Byrna and they're making fun of me. And they
should tell the audience because if you told me, I only know a Byrna because I saw it on a show.
Right.
People don't. It looks like
like a Glock. It looks like a Glock, so I can feel like I'm a badass.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And it's less lethal. But Kato, trust me, you don't want to get hit by one of these things. So they keep making fun of me. All right, let's go outside. So we go outside. We had some friends over. Bree, our very good friend Bree, and her kids were over. And I said, let's just see how this Byrna works. So we go in our backyard and we put up a couple cans. I'm not exactly a marksman, so I missed the can. Okay. But when we shot this thing, we're going, holy crap. It went through the fence and right through it. Like it went like a bullet almost. Oh, it will mess you up if you get hit by it. And
but doesn't a pepper or some
well they also have a tear gas version of it, like a pepper spray. That's what I want to get. I'm upgrading to that. But these pellets alone will jack you up really, really bad. But anyway, so that's my gun story with the Byrna. But yeah, but I understand how you have sleep. It's a habit, right? You just sleep. You sleep with a bat under your head. And relating to your question with Tom Lang, because I don't think anything scares him. I really don't. I just think the dude is bulletproof and fearless. But Kato, think about this. Your family. You always want to protect your family.
Yeah.
And you don't want anything creeping into the house. Like if someone's coming after, if you're a big time detective like him, come after me. Here I am. But you don't want your family affected. And I think that would be the biggest juggling element of that career is, how do you protect your family? How much do I tell them? How was your day, honey? Well, I went to the site of a mass murder. Here's some of the photos. It was horrible. I chased down this creep. I went to the, into Skid Row and found a just all the stuff that they have to deal with. How much do you share?
Yeah. Well, I also think another thing is Tom Lang, when he starts out, how the starting of his first being a detective, how he learned so much more from day one compared to 5 years of picking up clues of certain people. They have this habit. He just starts to realize, like, oh, this is a pattern, because you don't learn day one. You got to experience. So the experience that he had of how he learned so much more of how to read a person, that's full of it, that someone's probably narcissistic, that's probably the killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tom's stories are amazing.
Yep. So 2 more episodes with him. Here, I was looking up the info on the dating game killer.
Explain it to people, because people will not even.
Okay, so the dating game was a popular game show here. Everybody knows the dating game. And there was a contestant on it who turned out to be a serial killer. And Anna Kendrick is the director of this movie and the star. So she's in this as well.
I think it's called A Simple Favor.
No. Simple Favors with Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively. A Simple Favor is, that's not this.
But that's like a kidnapping too. Or some
well,
weird
yeah, but
thing,
and number 2's coming out. No, that Anna Kendrick saying she's never going to work with Blake Lively again. No, this is a new movie that came out within the year with Anna Kendrick as the director. Kato, check it out, because it feels like the actual dating game show. So the guy's name is Rodney Alcala, known as the dating game killer.
I know. Okay, now it rang a bell with that name.
So he was a convicted serial murderer whose crime spanned the 70s, and in the middle of it, he was a contestant on the dating game. And yeah, so that's what the movie's about.
He didn't win, so he got so mad he killed the girl.
But of course, Tom Lang's involved in this one, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. So we got that coming up.
You know how they caught him, right? Bachelorette asked him the question, "What will we do on our first date?" And he said, "Well, I'd kill you." And
how about old school? You would have been a great host of Hollywood Squares or one of those old school game shows, right? With the long microphones.
Yeah, Gene Rayburn Match Game.
Oh my God,
I'm loving it. That's what I want to be, a game show host.
All right, so lot to look forward to. Make sure you listen to our audio podcast. Get in there and check it out when you're in the car. You got the whole archive, every one of these shows. If you watch us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, download, but listen to our audio podcast as well. We want to ramp those numbers up. It's doing very well right now, but tell a friend, share it. Okay, before we go, all these celebrity encounters you've had in your life, right? Because people want to meet you. They're coming up to you in airports. It's your life. That's Kato Business 101. Any embarrassing moments? Because I had one really embarrassing moment happen to me in front of a celebrity, which I'll tell you a story. But has anything ever crazy happened to you?
Now, me being embarrassed?
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, I'll tell you my story.
Yeah, tell me, because
this is just, we were talking about just the randomness of LA, how you could be running into serial killers or mass murderers or drive by a crime scene, a famous crime scene, or celebrities, right? It happens all the time here. So, Kato, this was my birthday, probably 24 years ago, 24. Yeah. I was in LA, living in LA between jobs, between Phoenix and before I went out to Boston. So my friend, they were going to take me out to for my birthday. And there was, you remember the restaurant Ago?
Yeah.
On Melrose? Robert De Niro owned it. Yeah. It was a hot spot back in the day.
I used to go there.
A hot spot, right? So we went there on my birthday.
Ago,
yeah. AGO. So we went there on my birthday. It's a Saturday night. We're hanging out there, having a good time. We get our table, and there's probably about 6 of us guys, just us guys. Next to us was Derek Jeter, okay, at his table. And his table had literally 12 people, and he was the only guy. It was like supermodels and Derek Jeter. Wow. It really happened. I'm going, holy crap, this is real? I mean, but yes, Derek Jeter was there. So they're at this table like right above us. So we're having dinner, having a good time. Back then I used to drink Jack and Coke, right? I had a few that night. And I was leaning back on my chair, and I fell all the way back. I fell. With that table, everybody seeing me. Jeter, all these girls. I fall. My phone crashes to the floor and breaks. My phone's broken. I go to one of the girls that was there. I go, hey, did that look as bad as it? Didn't look as bad as it kind of felt for me. Yeah, I did.
The
She
girls
goes, that
at a
was
table?
yes. She goes, it was bad. It was bad. Could you imagine falling, looking like a fool, just and smashing your phone in front of all these
You
people?
think someone would have taped it? That'd probably be a big viral.
Oh, and they
hit
were
for
laughing
them.
at me. And the funniest thing is, I went back the next day and I said, "Hey, can you guys replace my phone? It broke." Hell no, we're not going to replace your phone. That's your
Jesus.
problem, idiot. Anyway,
Mine doesn't compare to that. Mine's different. Mine was
Yeah.
on a first class flight to the Kentucky Derby. Coming back from the Derby, I was in the first class and I went to the bathroom just to go potty. But
thank you,
the
Kato.
person-
Thank you for.
But whoever was before me in first class did something that was just terrible smell. I'll just say that. Terrible smell. When I opened the door, John Lovitz was there, and I was trying to explain to him that's not. I'm going to say. I swear it's not. This is and everybody says that's not them. Like, oh, sure, that's an excuse, but it really wasn't me. And I'm like, that. I swear to you, John, and we became friends from that. And then we sat, we talked from that moment on. We were up in the that area almost the entire flight, standing until they told us that we're landing, and we talked for at least 3 hours. And I'll never forget that.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's a true story.
So you come out of there and say, it wasn't me.
I was like,
hey, John, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was
it
only in
wasn't
there.
me.
I had to leave. I peed, and it was quick because I couldn't stand it. And I don't know. And believe it or not, the person that came out of there was a female. I don't know if she did it, but it was a stench. It was a stench. Let me tell you what. I thought the plane was it was going to be one of those scares, a little bomb scare in the toilet.
I wasn't expecting that, ladies and gentlemen. That's
an embarrassing moment.
That's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard.
Like, I
right.
had to say, honestly, it's not me. You have to explain that.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more guilty you feel that they're looking at you like, hey, man, everybody does it, Kato. No, but I didn't. I peed.
This came out of nowhere.
And it wasn't asparagus.
You know who's going to love this story is Kyle. My buddy Kyle and Christine, if they're watching this.
Love it.
Kyle, if you're watching this, throw a little comment in there and ask Kato about it next time he comes over to the house. And then you and John Lovitz probably talk about that to this day.
Yeah.
Right? That's the common
it was,
denominator.
Talking in the cockpit area. Yep. What do you call it? The galley.
I'm trying to think what
Talking
my
in the
favorite part
galley.
of that story is the fact that you said you went in to go potty, or whatever happened right after that.
I don't know that YouTube, if we could say that. I pissed. Yeah. I just doing it.
Way to take it next level,
I
Kato.
love it.
You rebel. All right, that's why he's the K Train, the one and only birthday boy.
Love it.
How about some birthday wishes for Kato?
Please.
Zeus and I would sing, but have you ever heard Zeus sing?
Go fund me.
Oh, he's horrible. Zeus can't
Zeus is
sing.
great.
Zeus, you can decorate a studio, though. I will give you that.
It's
You are the
looking
man.
great.
All right, hey, this has been fun. Gearing up for Tom Lang, gearing up for Idaho Murders, gearing up for John Bonet. There's a new story with that we're going to be bringing you shortly. And to all you creeps out there here in LA, if you create some horrible crimes, we're gonna find you. We're gonna send Tom Lang on you, and then we're gonna get about 8 or 10 episodes out of this and try to make some money off it too.
I love it.
All right,
You're at the right place at the right time, but we all wrong place. What's that talking about? I think we should save it.
save it.
Save it.
Good tease. Good tease. We have an amazing topic and story we're going to talk about probably later this week on another episode.
I think
The fact
so.
we had so much fun with this stuff today, we didn't get to it.
I said better left unsaid. So
Yeah.
this is good.
Okay. Yes, that was outstanding. Teeing it up. Okay, you good?
Love it.
Have a
Love
great
it.
birthday.
Thanks, my friend. Thank you.
Love you, Kato.
I love it,
Glad
buddy.
you had a great time. All right, listen to our audio podcast. Follow the K Train myself on social media, and we will see you very soon.